Hi, it's Penny here to talk about my reading plans for April. So I've decided to do the Magical Readathon this month. I was avoiding it because it was a bit overwhelming, but then I made a spreadsheet, a couple of spreadsheets, and now I feel much more organized, but also I have a massive pile of books, so maybe I am crazy. But we're going to try and do the O.W.Ls. I will leave all the details about the readathon down in the detail thingy if you don't know about the O.W.Ls. But basically there are 12 prompts, each representing a different class from Hogwarts School of Magic. And depending which classes you pass will help decide your magical career. And because I'm ridiculous, I just want to do everything. So I did start with just fitting my existing April TBR with the prompts, but then it expanded. So normally each month I try to read the shortest and the longest book of my physical TBR, as well as the lowest rated and the highest rated. So I'm going to go through the prompts from the readathon, but I will mention as we go through which ones fill my own personal challenges. So the first class is Ancient Runes, and for that you need to read a retelling. And I'm going to read The Bear and the Nightingale by Elizabeth Arden. This is a retelling of a Russian fairy tale, I believe. I have this out from the library, so I need to read it anyway. So it's perfect. So the next class is Arithmancy, for which you need to read a book written by more than one author. This is one that I didn't initially have anything for, but if I get time, I'm going to read Black Trillium, which is by Marion Bradley, Julian May, and Andre Norton. So these are all quite well-known female authors. I read this back in high school and I absolutely loved it. It's about 3 sisters and they get separated and there's some kind of quest. I don't really remember much about what it's about, but I remember I loved it as a teen, so fingers crossed I will still love it. It is on my physical TBR, so if I manage to read it, then it also helps to get that list down. And that's going to be my strategy most of the way through this readathon, is to try and take books off my physical TBR. However, the next class is Astronomy, for which you need to read a book with the word star in it. And none of the books on my physical TBR, all 80 books, none of them have the word star in it. And then I went to my Goodreads list and none of the hundreds of books on that list have the word star in it either. So I resorted to going to Libby and searching for available audiobooks with the word star in it. And I found one that I do actually only have on hold. So fingers crossed it comes through. And it's also the second book in a series, so I need to read the first one first. But it is called Blood of 1,000 Stars by O.W.Ls. And the first book I didn't have to wait for, which, like, that's weird, isn't it? The first book is called Empress of 1,000 Skies. I don't really know anything about these audiobooks, but they're real pretty covers. So I picked them because of that and because of the word star. And because I don't know anything about the first one, it might fit for another challenge, but I don't think it does. But it's an audiobook, so it's easy to get through. Then the next class is Care of Magical Creatures, where you need to read a book with a land animal on the cover. For this, I'm going to read King's Dragon by Kate Elliott. Now this is the longest book on my physical TBR, and it's also the first book in the Crown of Stars series. And the next 5 longest books on my physical TBR are all part of this series. So I'm going to be talking about this series for a little while, I think. But as you can see, we have this lovely horse on the cover, so that counts for Care of Magical Creatures. And I honestly don't know what this book is about, other than it's a high fantasy. And I assume there's a king and a dragon. The next class is Charms, and the charm for this class is an age line. So you need to read a book that is an adult book. Now about half of my books are adult books, but according to my fancy spreadsheet, the one that I need to count for this is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I have finally had my audiobook hold come through at the library. I swear it was saying available in 2 weeks for like 2 months. It has taken forever for me to get this. This is a book on my physical TBR. I think a few of them are and I haven't been mentioning, but this one is, and it's one that I didn't really want to have to read. So now I've got the audiobook, I can get through it, and I can also tick off charms. Now, I have watched the movie of this book, so you'd think I could tell you what it was about, but all I really know is it's got this really badass girl in it, and she's some kind of genius computer hacker getting revenge on people. I did like the movie, both the movies actually. I watched the one with subtitles and the other one. Liked them both. The one with subtitles was better. The next class is Defense Against the Dark Arts, which we're learning Reducto, and you need to read a book where the title starts with R. So for this, I'm going to read Room by Emma Donoghue. So I believe the story is about a mother and a son who have always been trapped in a room, never allowed to leave, until eventually they manage to escape, and then they have to deal with their lives being completely changed. So the next class is Divination, which is a book set in the future, and I haven't found a book for this, but I guess I will try and work it out. Actually, I'm kind of hoping that Empress of 1,000 Skies will turn out to be set in the future, but that's probably wishful thinking. The next class is Herbology, for which you need to read a book with a plant on the cover. For that, I'm going to go with Strange Sweet Song by O.W.Ls. This is a book my mother gave to me. She said it was quite good. Who really knows? But it does have a bunch of trees and forest on it, so I think that will count. I also don't know much about this except that music is in her blood. But it's on my physical TBR, so if I read it, then it counts for that. So the next class is A History of Magic, where you need to read a book that was published at least 10 years ago. For that, I'm going to read Eragon by Christopher Paolini. So this book was published in 2002, which is much more than 10 years ago. I am actually going to listen to the audiobook of this because I was thinking of unhauling this, but then I did a quick search. My library has multiple versions of the audiobook, so I can just read it instead. It's better than unhauling it without having read it. And I like dragons, so I really do want to read it. I've heard that the writing's not that good. I know he was really young when he wrote it, and so you really can't have high expectations. I don't even know, although this is another one where I've seen the movie, but if I had to tell you what it was about, there's a dragon, he talks to the dragon, he's like trying to get a thing. My memory. Not very good. Anyway, I do want to read it. I love dragons. So the next class is Muggle Studies, for which you need to read a contemporary, for which I hope this counts. I've got To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now this is the highest rated book on my physical TBR. And it's also a classic, something about racism. I don't really know. I don't normally like classics, but my sister did say she liked this. She gave it to me, and it's so high rated that I figure I'll read it. I'll give it a chance. I think I've seen a few people say they really liked it, so hopefully I will be one of those. So the next class is Potions, for which you need to read a sequel, and for this, I'm going to read Dates, Double Dates, and Big Big Trouble by Karen McCombie. Apparently, this is the second book in Allie's world. I don't know, my sister gave me this. She said it was okay. It is the shortest book on my TBR at the moment, so I figured it's so short there's no point unhauling it. Like, I should just read it, even though it's probably kind of ridiculous to read. I believe it's some girl whose parents are divorced and now her dad is starting to see someone. I imagine it will be a super quick read since it's like a middle grade type book. It feels like it's cheating to read the second book in a series when I haven't read the first book and count that as a sequel, but it is a sequel, so we're going to count it. Then the last class is Transfiguration, and you need to read a book either with sprayed edges or a red cover. I do not have any books with sprayed edges. Like, you guys are way too fancy for me. But I do have a book with a red cover, and it's also the lowest rated book on my physical TBR, and that is A Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. Now, I'm sure that the reason this is rated so low is just because everyone was expecting Harry Potter, and instead I know it's very different from Harry Potter. But I guess once I've read it, I'll see whether it's rated low just because it wasn't what people were expecting, or whether it's rated low because it's terrible. Now that's a lot of books, but I do have a few more audiobooks on Libby that I haven't talked about. The first one being A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, the sequel to A Court of Thorns and Roses. I started that last month. I'm just finishing it off. I don't feel like it's fair to treat it for the readathon, and I also don't know what challenges it could fit under, so we're not going to worry about trying to fit it in. We're just going to listen to it and then probably forget about it. I do have a few other audiobooks that say they're available soon. One is that Blood of 1,000 Stars that I'm hoping to read. For the readathon. I also have the next two books in the Millennium series. So there's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and also The Girl Who Played with Fire and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Now I have all of those books on my physical TBR, so if I listen to the audiobooks, then I'll be able to tick those off. But it is a little bit worrying that they seem to take a long time to come through, which implies that it's taking people a long time to listen to them. And I think all the other ones that are likely to come through in the next little bit are all non-fiction. So I've got The Brain Fog Fix by Dr. Mike Dow. So most of these audiobooks are just ones that I saw while I was looking at available books and thought might be vaguely interesting. So we've got that one. I've also got When Women Ruled the World by Cara Cooney. Now this, I actually put a hold on it when I was searching for the buzzword readathon. I was searching for books with the word when in it, and I came across this and I thought it looked really interesting. So that's meant to be coming through in about 2 weeks. And then lastly, I've also got 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. I don't know why I always pick up these kind of books. I guess because I want to be a better person. But it's pretty hit and miss as to whether these kind of books actually help. But some of them do, so it's worth having a go. And then since we're talking about nonfiction, I do also have a couple of nonfiction books out from the library. One of them is A Matter of Fact, Talking Truth in a Post-Truth World. So this is about taking research and facts and presenting them in a way where people will actually take those facts on board and change their behavior rather than just ignoring them. And I've also got Story World First by Jill Williamson. I am supposedly doing Camp NaNoWriMo this month with my sister, but I've got a very low goal. I don't really know when I'm going to have time to do any of it, but when I do some stuff for it, I want to work on some world building. And I'm going to use this book to give me some prompts. So I think I just talked about like 19 books, which seems like ridiculous plans. However, I did read 18 books last month, but I think I only managed to do that because of the readathons, especially the 24-hour readathon that I did. I am going away for about a week for a conference and a bit of a holiday, so that's going to take out of my reading time, as well as Camp NaNoWriMo if I do some of that. So we're a bit busy, but hopefully I can still read some books because I do like reading books. Anyway, do let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about today and what you think about them. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time.